Welcome to Unhinged Magi. Craziness to be here. Oh,
Yep.
man. Are you happy?
I'm happy. I'm pumped.
You're pumped?
I got a lot of signed cards.
Yeah, me too. And can I have your autograph later?
You can.
Fantasticness.
I'll sign it right here.
I'm gonna tattoo it on my forehead.
I'll sign right on your forehead, and then someone can tattoo it in right after I do it.
It's a perfect idea.
Yep.
Do you guys like signed cards? Do you like autographed cards?
I do.
Yeah, I do too. I find them very, very, very nice, and I like having the artist signature on there, and I think it's kind of cool.
But there is quite a mixed market. There's a really mixed opinion about signed cards.
Yeah, there's tons of people who hate signed cards. Why do you want the artist to sign the card? That's just crazy.
In fact, they actually list it as like ruined or destroyed or damaged.
It's damaged, yeah. It's damaged because it was signed.
The sentiment is actually so bad that the grading companies actually stopped grading signed cards because they considered them damaged.
Well, Beckett grades them just fine.
Well, not
And
exactly. You have to send it to JSA first and get the signature.
They send it to JSA.
Oh,
yes,
sure.
They have to do it.
But they won't just straight up do it. They send it to JSA, and then they get the signature authenticated, and then they come back and they grade the card.
Exactly. Which I think is just fine too. It's
Beyond being a pain. Yeah.
But is a signed card ever going to be worth more than a regular card not signed?
Now that's the interesting topic right there, because I think there are cases of yes, absolutely, and there's cases of no.
Exactly. We've already had some, unfortunately, Magic the Gathering artists die.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've noticed, those prices have gone up.
They have.
Hoover, right?
Quentin Hoover.
He's dead. And Christopher Rush. And I'm not
Christopher
just
Rush.
talking about that Alpha Lotus that sold for 500,000 plus,
Yeah.
right? But that was just case signed, so that's going to wear off. That's
Yeah.
not card signed.
Yep. Some people actually prefer it that way. But what we're saying is there's a chance that an actual high-graded but signed card by Christopher Rush might actually sell at one point for more.
I think that will happen. I think there is actually a Mint 10 PSA signed Alpha Lotus out there. I know that. And I think that is going to be worth more than a PSA Grade 10 Alpha Lotus.
What do you think the inflection point's going to be? What do you think is going to be the kind of moment that drives something like that kind of paradigm shift?
When they start seeing how rare a PSA 10 graded signed card is.
You know,
it's
that's
gonna
actually...
Yeah.
That's a really good point because, you know, for years and years, Rudy would talk about how the market doesn't understand and how wrong the market was, and his entire opinion was based on the rarity. That people didn't understand the rarity, and that was their big mistake. And that's what you're basing this on. You're saying that people don't understand the rarity.
Exactly. So I think high-end signed, graded anything, like 10 signed, graded. Not the autograph being 10 signed. I'm talking about the graded card itself plus the signature is worth more than any other one. Because of the rarity. Because it's so hard to get a 10 on anything. And if it was signed and became a 10, holy mackerel. Now I'm talking about PSA specifically. When I go over to BGS, it's going to be anything quad, right? Because that's really a BGS 10.
Yeah, it's hard to get anything higher than that, especially for the old cards.
Well, they don't want to give them, and they just don't want to give them, so they just don't.
Which actually, I think that's garbage. If a card deserves it, the card deserves it.
Well, I've seen cards that
stupid grade.
I've seen cards that deserve it and they don't have a 10, and I've seen cards that don't deserve it and they gave it a 10.
Well, that just makes it sound like they suck.
Yes, they've been sucking for a while. Hence their new motto of "If you send it in, we regrade it," because we screwed up so many times. That's their new motto. They crack it. They give you a 10. When they crack it out, they send it back an 8. Well, it sucks to be you.
That's painful, man. I gotta say, that's painful.
But that's what they're doing now because they know they sucked for a long period of time. That, it's just what it is.
So of this like rarity that we're talking about now, that whole game flips. If you're talking about an artist that's still around and a very prolific artist in terms of signing cards.
I know, right? But remember what I'm talking about. If you can get a PSA 10 signed Mark Poole counterspell, he's still alive. There aren't going to be very many PSA 10 Mark Poole signature cards. Guaranteed 100%.
It's true. I mean, compared to the number of counterspells that are out there.
Exactly.
Because there is a lot of counterspells out there.
But they're going to come back 9.
Yeah.
A lot of those PSA cards come back 9.
Yeah, so
therefore, any signed 10 is always going to be worth more.
Yeah, so if the paradigm shift happens to where an entire separate market develops just for signed cards, and all they want is signed, and then of the signed cards, people want the highest graded signed, then now suddenly you have like such a thriving market for signed that the high graded signed ones suddenly have an automatic place to live and an automatic value.
And once people see that an autographed high-end card is worth more than the other card that's not signed, that's going to change the paradigm shift on grade 9s as well. And so now you have a falling scale of always the signed card is worth more.
You know, there's another signature that's actually extremely rare that I know about. I'm going to say this lore. I hope I get it right. The internet will kill me if I don't. I think a lady named Faye Jones is Richard Garfield's aunt is Faye Jones.
Is that Wiley Wolf?
No, no, she did Stasis.
Stasis. Okay.
The only card I think that Faye Jones ever did was Stasis, and that's Richard Garfield's aunt, and she doesn't sign things very often. So there's almost no signed Stasises out there.
Yeah, well,
and even of the ones that are signed, I don't know if there are any of them that are actually even like high grade and sealed in a case.
Right.
So a Faye Jones signed Stasis would be an extremely valuable thing to get.
Okay, cool. That's good knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Now I have to find one because I know I don't have one. You have one, though.
I have 4 Beta Stasis, but none of them are signed.
Oh, none of them are signed.
None of them are signed.
Oh, okay. I thought you buy the beta set that was.
I had a signed Beta Stasis in that set, and this is actually, and since you brought it up, it's a funny story. This is when I was selling cards out of the beta set to try to buy the missing Power 9 that I didn't have. I put up that Beta Stasis for like $160, and the going rate at that point for like a beta was like, I don't know, maybe 170 for like equal quality. So I was a little bit lower because it was signed. Well, Daniel Chang actually, he called me and he tried to tell me that my price is too high, it's garbage, it's signed, people consider them trash. He tried to talk me down, but I wouldn't go down. And so I held my price of $160, and after arguing with me for like 2 days on the phone, he just bought it at $160. So like, you know, now I wish, of course, I kept it because I actually had a signed Beta Stasis card. Yeah. But, you know, that's what happened. He tried to talk me out of it, and then he bought it at full price. Well, then he had videos with it later on. So when you guys see a signed Beta Stasis on Vintage Magic, that was mine.
Well, there you go. That's actually a good story.
Yeah.
Good job on holding to your sticker to your sticker price.
I wish I just held it. I wish I just took money out of the bank and bought those missing Power 9s.
I wish you would have contacted me that you had a Stasis for sale. But that's a different story entirely.
Yep. So Quentin Hoovers are definitely big ones to pick up also.
Right, because it's so rare. And then Christopher Rush, of course. And it's just gonna get crazy out there, I think, for signed cards. I think that's the next move in the market.
Yeah. And you know,
even when Mark Poole passes tomorrow in a car wreck, he has a ton of signatures. But when you start matching that graded card to the signature and that kind of stuff,
I'm sure there's a lot of Mark Poole cards where he did the artwork, but not a lot of people have had him sign it.
Also, I think
I've got a card like that. I have a Mana Flare signed by Christopher Rush. Yeah. And like, how many Mana Flares is there signed? He probably didn't sign a lot of Mana Flares.
I'm pretty sure he didn't.
And like the Power Leech, I actually gave for Dan's birthday, I gave him a signed Christopher Rush Power Leech.
And that was fantastic.
And there's probably not very many of those either.
Yep. And so rarity becomes another issue. But what I'm also talking about is, oh man, you disturbed my thought. I had it there for a second there, and it just disappeared.
While he has this thought recuperating party, we're going to talk about tacos. We're going to talk about cheese and lettuce and beef. In fact, there's a whole song about tacos raining from the sky. Do you know that song?
I know that song.
I'm distracting you even more, aren't I?
Yeah, you are, because I know
this is not helping?
That's not helping at all.
So anyways, yeah, if you guys can go after a signature on a card that's not typically signed as much, and what you want to go for is a card that has rarity to the signature, and you want it to be a card that's generally desired anyways. And if you can get that card in like a higher grade, that's definitely something to to think hard about.
It came back to me. All right, so you know how I think it's Jeffrey Myfors. I never say this.
Jesper.
His name is Jesper?
I think so.
Okay. Well, anyways, he puts a date at the end of the signature, right? And so you can tell the era that he actually signed it. So he has 93, he has 94, and it goes all the way up. However, you can also tell Mark Tedden's signature when it's old.
I think it's Tedden.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't pronounce names. I love your artwork, by the way. But anyways, you can actually see the difference in the signatures of the different eras.
Oh, yeah.
So I believe that the older the signature, the more expensive the card will become.
Yeah, that actually is a whole market that hasn't really picked up. And that's a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a Mark Tedden signed Soul Ring, and I have a Mark Tedden signed Mana Vault that are both from Beta.
And you can put those in the screenshots.
Yeah, I can. But like both of them were signed at different eras of time. Now, I took these physically to GP Vegas in 2018, I think.
I think so.
And I showed it to him, and he first of all verified that they're both his signature. But then he verified that my Soul Ring signature was a much earlier signature, because he changed it by the time he actually had done the Mana Vault at some point. And so that's an interesting thing, and those older signatures might carry some extra weight to it.
They should, because why? They're rarer.
That's what it comes back to, people. There's another story actually, and I've told this on some other videos, but I'll tell it here again because it's cool. I have a Beat to Hex signed Library of Alexandria, and when I bought it, I bought it for only like $200. Like I remember like a while ago, but it was like a great price, and I was all excited about it when I bought it. But it was signed with like a ballpoint pen.
How terrible!
Which I thought was kind of stupid. I mean, it's a Beat to Hex card signed with a ballpoint pen. So I take it to Vegas. Mark Poole is there. And I bring it up to him, and I show him the card, and I'm asking him to sign over the ballpoint pen with a Sharpie. And he looks at me and he says, I'll do it if you want me to do it, but I don't think you want me to do it. And I was like, well, why? And he said, well, I stopped signing with a ballpoint pen after 1994. This card was signed in 1994. This is definitely one of my oldest signatures, and I haven't seen one of these in a long time.
You know what you should have done? Had a double signed by him.
Well, what I actually did do is I took a picture with him holding the card at that time that he told me that story. Yeah. And then I even bought one of his artwork chiclets. And it's actually, that's the one that's hanging up in my the background of my video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I bought that at the same time. And if you flip it over, I have a picture of Mark Poole and I sitting there holding up my card and then the chiclet also. So nice. At the time that this whole thing happened. But yeah, that was a 1994 signature on that Library of Alexandria.
Fantastic. I love that story.
Yeah, so now that thing is like, even though I could go get like a new mint library, that's the one I want. Like this Beat one with this really old signature is like, that's my library.
There you go. See? Fantasticness. And now that card is worth thousands of dollars.
Yeah, even in its condition. Yep. So there you guys go. A little insight into this signature market. Something to really think about.
A future market. Yep. Tell us what you think below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I like tacos?
Do you think he's all of the above?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys.
All right, talk to you later.